but the right is calling you a DEI hire.
Oh, my God.
What is your response to that?
The fact that they focus on me so much, it probably should put it as a badge of honor. But look, right now, DEI is being used as a catch-all phrase for people, for things that they don't like. And we got to be really clear here, too. DEI did not cause that tragic plane accident in Washington, D.C. DEI is not causing the increase of prices, right? Although they'll blame it on us.
Yeah.
And I do believe that diversity is our strength. It is the strength of our nation. Inclusion is important. And it makes us a better country. And when we do things like that, when the other side does things like that and scapegoat people, it actually puts vulnerable communities in danger.
Yep.
Boy, 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 boy. So we got to talk about Stephen A. Smith on The View, who is going to deliver a brutal reality check to the cackling hens who are going to be boohoo whining and crying about Trump. For as much as they want to push the narrative that the people are revolting against President Trump, again, that's just simply not true.
The groceries, egg prices haven't gone down since Trump took office.
Give him a little bit of time. Will you come back in a year or 2 years? Let's look at the halfway point, because we all know everything takes time.
Well, he promised it on the first day.
He promises to
And
take
anybody
steps.
that believed that's crazy.
He also said that it would probably be a little more painful to start with, but it would get better. We got to give him.
Everybody's waiting on that.
Well,
You talking about contractors? Elon's a contractor too. Who looks into him?
there needs to be somebody.
Nobody questions his bills.
Do you trust Elon Musk? He's
Absolutely.
a government contractor. He's got business interests, whether in defense, internet, that kind of thing. He's also admitted to drug use. He smoked pot on Joe Rogan's show. Do you trust him as like a stable, rational, and reasonable person to be doing this job?
Yes.
Hey, he's a Republican. You ain't gonna talk him out of that.
There's potheads all over this country. Y'all sitting here trying to bash
I
one
ain't
man for what,
bashing none of
99% of this country, Republican or Democrat. Corbett, this whole dadgum town smokes pot. You're part of the Democrat Party in my book.
The conversation devolved quickly. We had not anticipated the emotional connection Minnie already felt with Musk.
This
He
is
did
over
it on
with.
TV.
He sat on TV and smoked pot.
Yes, do you
Well,
want
I
me to
haven't. I
pull
don't
up the
care.
video?
I'm saying it don't matter.
Let me pull up the
But that
video
makes him
for you.
unqualified to do a
Well,
job.
I'm just saying, does it,
Yeah, I mean,
Does the
she's
question
coming in
is-
here with ignorant arguments. She
does
ain't
it,
talking
does
facts.
it raise any questions
You
about his
I can prove
judgment?
you a Democrat by the level of ignorance that you portray.
Let's
We
just
listen
show
to that
it.
all the time. Donald Trump, Elon Musk, please drain the swamp. While you there, get the job done. Please.
They'll probably go down the drain with it.
But the people have revolted against the Democrat Party. They have thoroughly rejected the Democrat Party. Unlike President Trump, who has the Republican base, conservatives still on his side. Okay, the Democrats have lost their own base. Okay, they lost their own base of supporters. Again, it's so bad for Democrats that you have clowns like Stephen A. Smith that is competitive. Okay, versus established career Democrat politicians when it comes to being the next Democrat Party nominee to be president of the United States. And that is a message that he's going to take to The View, because he has been going off on the Democrat Party for being so bad. And it did not really seem like The View liked the message that Stephen A. delivered, the reality check that he delivered. Now, I don't agree with 100% because, you know, I think he's somewhat Trump deranged. But I think his messaging in regards to the Democrat Party being terrible is spot on.
Now, in the polls, you're nearly tied with Pete Buttigieg, AOC, Governor Gretchen Whitmer. You have a higher favorability than John Fetterman and Vice President Harris. What do you make of this?
I make of it that citizens, particularly on the left, are desperate. And I mean it when I say it. I think I can beat them all. And I have no desire whatsoever to run for office. I am not a politician. I am not qualified. But I know this much: when you consider who's on the other side and how he's gotten away with saying very little, in terms of being coherent and articulating his thoughts clearly and concisely and what have you. This is not something that he's known to do, yet and still he has owned the Republican Party since 2015. Not only has he won, the Republican constituency has said, we don't want anybody else but him. We didn't want DeSantis, we didn't want Haley, we didn't want Christie, we didn't want Ramaswamy, we didn't want DeSantis, we didn't want anybody. We want him.
What does that say about the Republican Party?
It's not about what it says about the Republican Party. It's about what it says about the Democratic Party.
Why?
Because in the end, if you think about him being impeached twice, 34 felony counts or 34 felony convictions, and they still elected him president, it's not about him winning. It was an indictment against the Democratic Party and what the Democratic Party was offering to American citizens. We might sit up there and talk about, hey, you should be a party for the working class, which the Democratic Party was once known for. They're not known for that right now. Why? Because their message was catering towards others and towards other issues, and they forgot about the people that brought them there, that elevated the Democratic Party to what it was over these last few decades. That's why they lost. He didn't win.
Well,
the Democrats lost.
Yeah, so where I disagree with Stephen A., I just want to reiterate, is that he's trying to make it seem as if Trump is bad, but Democrats are worse, and that's why they lost. No, that's not the case. Trump is good, and Democrats are bad, right? That's actually the truth, okay? But what he's saying about the Democrats is spot on. They just suck. Like, they're really, really, really bad. And that's what really bothers me about all this coverage of Trump. I'm like, okay, I understand that President Trump is in office now, and they want to cover him 24/7. But now all of a sudden, they want to talk about the economy being bad when the economy was bad under Joe Biden. And they pretended that it wasn't, right? That it was great, that it was amazing. Now all of a sudden they're admitting that, yeah, the economy is bad, right? That we may go into a recession. But when we went into a recession under Joe Biden, they said, no. Well, that's not true. Like, that's not a real recession, okay? They changed the definition of recession. Now, if we do happen to go into a recession under Biden's economy, okay, while Trump is president, I guarantee you they won't be changing the definition. I guarantee you that they'll be talking about this a lot differently than they were when Joe Biden was in office. Now, the reality is this, okay? It's going to take time for people to really feel the effects of Trump's policies, especially when it comes to the economy. Regardless, he has a mandate, okay, from the American people to do what he's doing right now. And while the liberal media is boohooing and crying about it, again, the American people have not abandoned President Trump, okay? Because, again, this is what the American people voted for. And Stephen A. is going to drive home that point here about how, yes, President Trump does have a mandate in his conversation with The View, in which they clearly don't like the reality check that Stephen A. is giving them. So let's get into it.
Joy.
So Trump's only been in office for 6 weeks. Seems like 6 years, doesn't it? And he's been going around with his cronies touting his so-called landslide and blowout win. But he won the popular vote by 1.5%, one of the smallest ever, and he won the general election by less than 50%. So what kind of mandate is this really?
Well, it is a mandate, and I'm going to explain why. And I don't mind the question, but let me be very clear. I'm no supporter of Trump. I'm a supporter of truth and the facts. And here's the facts. The man won every swing state. He increased in terms of his voter turnout in his favor from the standpoint of blacks, Latinos, and young voters. He increased his numbers in that regard from 2020. 89% of the counties shifted to the right. That's a mandate. We can sit up there and play around all we want to. In 2020, Trump didn't win the popular vote. He didn't win the electoral college vote. A matter of fact, the Republicans hadn't won the popular vote, if I remember correctly, since 2004. But they did this year. So 20 years after they last won the popular vote, they won the popular vote. They won the electoral college vote. The man won every swing state. And on top of it all, 89% of the counties shifted against. I don't understand how people can look at that and say, there's no mandate. There's a mandate.
Well, it's a different definition of a mandate, I guess.
But the problem is that if you're the Democratic Party and you lost 49.8% to 48.3%, and you're looking at that 1.5% dip, that's an excuse for you to say, what we did really wasn't that bad.
Some people
we should continue to do that.
Do you think that those...
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. It's an excuse not to change. It's an excuse for them to double and triple down on the nonsense that led to them losing, okay? And again, that's why you're seeing them go back to the same old thing, the same old play. Well, we only lost by 1.5 percentage points. It's like, as Stephen A. said, Trump is the first Republican to win the popular vote since, I think, Bush, him running for a second term, right? So, hey, I mean, to me, that's kind of historic, okay? That's a big shift towards a Republican, especially when you talk about so-called minority voters. So, again, What Stephen A is saying here is on point in the sense that you're not seeing Democrats change because they don't think that they have a mandate to change, right? They think that, hey, well, we only barely lost, so hey, it is what it is. Let's just hope that Trump lays an egg, right? And this is why they're running the propaganda to try to make it seem as if Trump's administration is falling apart and that American people are voting against them because Democrats don't want to change. They want to give you another 4 years of what we experienced under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris. That's what they want. That's exactly what they're going to go back to when they start running their candidates in 2028. That's exactly what they're going to do. Right? That's exactly what they're going to do. And this is why they're trying to manufacture a reality in which Trump is extremely unpopular and that the GOP voters are abandoning him, MAGA's abandoning him, America First is abandoning him. This is why they're trying to do that. Because if they can make that a reality, that means the Democrats can just go back to the same old playbook, right? They don't have to change anything. So that's the bet that they're making. They're betting that President Trump is going to lay an egg. That's what they're betting. And the mainstream liberal media is, again, they're trying to make that a reality. Even though it's not a reality, at least not at this point.
Don't continue to do it. Find a new strategy.
But do you think those groups, the black voters, the Latino voters, and the others that you mentioned, are they going to regret it soon?
Possibly. I think so. I don't like what I'm seeing from Trump. I didn't like what I saw with Zelensky. I didn't like what I saw with a few things. But in the end, I didn't like it. But in the end, what it comes down to is this. The American people, in their eyes, it wasn't about him. They were voting against what the Democrats were throwing in their direction. I don't only talk to Cuomo. I did interview Eric Adams. I did interview Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries. I interviewed these people. I've talked to them, and I'm going to talk to some more of them, too. And I'm going to say the same message. What are you doing to win? I love Wes Moore, the governor of Maryland. I love John Kerry of Pennsylvania, okay? I just interviewed Cuomo. I like him a lot. I want somebody to step up and recognize that man in the Oval Office, whether you like it or not, is potent. He's coming and he wins. You got to find a way to beat him. This way is not the way that the Democrats have been doing it.
Later on in the show, the Cackling Hens brought on Karine Jean-Pierre to respond to Stephen A. Smith. They confronted her about Stephen A. Smith saying that Trump does have a mandate. And Karine Jean-Pierre, of course, pushed the Democratic talking points that President Trump does not have a mandate.
When Stephen was leaving, she said, nice to meet you, nice to meet you. I disagree with you.
Yes, I do.
And I was curious, and so that's why I was curious.
I do, on the mandate, on Donald Trump and his administration having a mandate. And we have to be super mindful and careful of this because he does not have a mandate. And what I mean by that is if you look at the numbers, just look at the facts. He won with the smallest margin of the popular vote since the 19th century. Yeah. There was no coattail, meaning that it is the House is at a razor thin, yeah. And he's on his way in the first 100 days to be the most unpopular president in their first 100 days. Yeah. That is not a mandate.
In 70 years.
The word man is in there.
Well,
yeah. So you seen that, you heard that. Again, I think the point here that I'm trying to highlight, which is that the Democrat Party has not changed, right? They don't want to change, and they're solely relying on President Trump collapsing. That's what they're relying on, okay? And if that's what they're going to rely on without changing, then I don't think they're going to have any hope because I don't think that the president and his administration are going to, quote-unquote, collapse, right? I think that right now what we're dealing with are the remnants of Joe Biden's economy, okay? That's what we're dealing with right now, okay? We're dealing with cleaning up the Democrats and the problems that they caused. And hey, here's the thing. The good thing is that a lot of this stuff is happening early, okay? It is much better to deal with the economic issues early on than, let's just say, right before the midterms. Because at the very least, it gives the president time to address the issues and to ultimately remedy the issues before the midterms. I'm hoping, okay, that's the case. But regardless, he has to drive home that point during his State of the Union address. So, hey, that's what I'm hoping to see tonight. Again, Democrats can deny reality all they want in regards to how the American people currently view the Trump administration and the mandate that he has. But ultimately, at the end of the day, Democrats, at their own peril, are choosing to double and triple down on the woke nonsense and saying that, hey, we don't need to change. And they are just trying to rely on President Trump laying an egg. I don't think it's going to happen. But, hey, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.